I know there's so much AI hype and so many cool tools that are being developed that I feel like a lot of developers, they're like, hey, it's going to take all of our jobs, which I think it's a tool. I don't think it's going to get to that point. At least who knows the future? Maybe we'll have cyberpunk dystopia, who knows? But with these tools, I feel like if you're like a solopreneur or a developer, you have all these things that you could leverage to help your clients, kind of get stuff done. Do you have any opinions on kind of like the state of AI and your thoughts on it?
I think it's incredible for freelancing, particularly because, at least again, what I'm just talking about my experience, right? But with my clients, it's very often that they have some kind of request that I have never seen before, or that I have to integrate with some kind of tool that I didn't even know. And with this stuff, ChatGPT, Claude, and so on are just amazing if you have to integrate some third party that you don't actually know, because usually it means, or it used to mean, you have to go somewhere and you have to read up all the documentation, and then you go back and forth, you get obscure errors that you don't understand. And now with like the main use cases, for example, I don't know, now a lot of the stuff I have to do is like with Google Sheets, where I have to actually hook into something and then go into line 20 and add like a variable there and stuff like that. All of that is so much easier thanks to ChatGPT and AI. But on the other hand, exactly like you say, like when it comes to, I don't know, the whole development flow, I don't find it as useful as I thought I would find it. I mean, considering that it's now also out for like 2 years, like I think it makes me a lot faster when it comes to things that you don't do regularly.
Right.
But with the stuff that you know how to do, it's often actually getting you onto the wrong track first.
Yeah, that's a great point, because if you don't know what the code is spitting out or kind of know what you want, you could go down these rabbit holes. And I've had many times where it falls into this loop where it recommends a correction that creates a problem, and then the second recommendation will fix the problem it created, but it'll bring you back to the original problem. So it's like this never-ending loop. So unless you understand the code and you're able to kind of make the difference and changes, like you might get stuck and go down the wrong rabbit holes. And I think like that's a great point you made. Make sure you like use AI with caution and know like its pros and cons. And I think the goal for anybody learning to code, that like I know people say like low code or no code solution. I do agree with that statement a little bit, but at the end of the day, you still need to understand how things work under the hood, because when things breaks or don't work as expected, you are going to have to fix them. So for me, I kind of fall into the same camp. If I know how to do something, I'll just do it. But if I don't, I use AI as a learning tool to kind of talk through the problem I'm trying to solve and see what possible recommendations that it gives. And sometimes like it will give good recommendations. Sometimes they're like, I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like so terrible. But at least now I have enough info to start kind of figuring out how to solve the problem on my own. So I think as a learning tool, it's pretty awesome. In terms of...
But also actually, sorry, just to hook into that as well, because I was talking to another developer the other day, and we both felt that we're quite happy that we learned how to code before AI, because now I realize that also in a lot of stages, I just get very lazy. I think today I was just giving AI some code where I kind of knew I know how to do it, but just like, you just go and do it. And then I was like, no, I'm going to do this properly this time. And I wrote my code, and then I saw the AI code, and I immediately realized the AI code was actually off, right? But I think if I didn't know what to do, I would have just taken the AI code and I would have never looked back. So I think those hours of debugging before AI actually, made you learn a lot deeper what you're coding up now.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I'm in my 40s, and I think being born before this AI boom and this ability to easily access information, I think kind of reminds me that things were a little bit harder at the beginning. And now that you have all these tools that make things easier, I always wonder, are they making us dumber even though we feel we're getting smarter? Because the ease of use is just like, oh, I just do this for you. Oh, you want me to rewrite this here? Or you want me to write this code here? And it's like, I think when I was first starting to use the tools where I was like, oh, I'm just going to rely like a lot on them, especially at the beginning, just to see like what it's like. When the internet would go out, I would be like, I don't know what I'm doing. What is going on? Am I even a developer? And so I was like, wait a second. So it was like a great reminder to be like, hey, like you have the tools, they're tools, and they give you a great power, but like, in Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. So the idea is it's still on you to not take it for granted and understand that you still have to work on becoming the best developer that you can. And the tools are the tools. They're there, or they can not be there. And so you still need to kind of push yourself to get better. And what I find with AI is that as a learning tool, I find that in the past 6 months that I've been using AI tools to have conversation through the code I'm writing as a learning purpose, it helped me like so much. One example, I was learning graph data structures and I wanted to get a little bit more experience. So instead of doing a lead code where I need to see like a real life application of what the thing is. So I created this little map app that like represents distancing, like with nodes and edges with the graphs. And it helped me to kind of build out an application that at the beginning I had no idea how I did it, but it kind of worked. And then I asked like ChatGPT, like, hey, can you write me a learning outline of all the things I need to learn to understand what this code means? And then I posted into Perplexity, which like crawls the web and gave me the resources. And then I just watched like a bunch of videos and I was like, yeah, then learn about this stuff, came back to my code. I'm like, oh, I get it. Now I know what it did. And then I was able to like make fixes and improvements. So for me, I think using it for your way to learn, but not as a way to kind of solve all your problems by not having you do anything, you know, it's good.
For sure.